Wow, some pretty wild stuff coming out of the Champions League this week. We always love digging into those moments that make you go, hold on, what just happened? Mm-hmm. And I think we've got a prime example today.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, a 3-0 win for Arsenal over Real Madrid in the Champions League quarterfinals, no less.
No kidding. You sent over that ESPN report, and I have to say, it's electric. Talk about an upset.
Definitely a result that nobody saw coming. Real Madrid on the losing end of a 3-goal deficit in a Champions League quarterfinal. That's a headline you don't see every day.
Exactly. And right at the heart of it all, you've got Declan Rice. 2 free kicks, both goals. ESPN calls them magic. But honestly, that word hardly seemed to do it justice, when you consider just how unexpected they were.
Yeah, unexpected might be an understatement.
This is a guy, 339 club games, and not a single direct free kick goal to his name. And then, boom, 2-1 match. In the Champions League quarterfinals against Real Madrid. You couldn't script it.
Talk about defying the odds. A whole career without scoring a direct free kick, and then suddenly 2 in a row against a giant like Real Madrid in the Champions League quarterfinals. This is exactly why we love football, right? You just never know what's going to happen.
And that's what we're here to unpack today. Your sources really painted a picture of a game that went against all expectations. And we want to break down just what made Rice's performance so special and what it all means for Arsenal going forward.
Right, because there's a lot to dig into here.
Absolutely. But before we get to those incredible goals, maybe we should set the stage a little. Just a quick overview of some of the other key moments from the match so we can get a sense of how everything unfolded.
Okay, so the first half was actually pretty tight. Goalless, although Mbappe had a couple of decent chances for Real Madrid.
Oh yeah, he can be a real menace in front of goal.
Absolutely, but he just couldn't find the back of the net this time. Then, early in the second half, things really exploded. Rice's first direct free kick came in the 58th minute. Just to clarify for anyone who might not be as familiar with the terminology, a direct free kick means he can shoot directly at the goal without another player having to touch the ball first.
So no need for a teammate to get a head on it or anything like that.
Exactly, and just 12 minutes later, Rice scores again, another direct free kick, and then not long after that, Mikel Arteta puts a third goal away for Arsenal. And to really cap it off, late in the game, Eduardo Camavinga gets a red card for dissent. So yeah, a lot happened in that second half. It was a wild ride.
Talk about a momentum swing from a tight first half to a 3-goal lead. But let's zoom in on those Rice free kicks for a minute. The ESPN report quotes Rice afterwards, and he says he was speechless, called the goals magic, and part of a historical night. He even mentioned that with the second free kick, the angle was such that a cross seemed like the more obvious choice. Yeah, I mean, in that situation, you're probably thinking, get the ball into the box, create some chaos.
Right, exactly. But Rice says he saw how the wall was set up and he just decided to go for goal.
That takes some serious guts, especially on a stage like that.
No question. And it's not just that he scored, it's the way he scored. The ESPN report describes the first goal as curled home. So clearly some real technique on display there, perfect placement.
Yeah, those are the kinds of goals that make you jump out of your seat. And then the second one, the report calls it even better. This time, he manages to beat Thibaut Courtois, who, let's be honest, is one of the best goalkeepers on the planet.
Yeah, Courtois doesn't let many in. To beat him twice from direct free kicks in the same match, that's a pretty big deal in itself.
Absolutely. It really makes you wonder what clicked for Rice. Was there something different about his approach going into this game? Did his confidence just suddenly skyrocket?
Right. I mean, where did this come from? And it wasn't just us wondering either. The ESPN pundit, Ella Moreno, he's quoted in the article saying he's surprised we haven't seen Rice taking more free kicks for Arsenal, especially after this match. It's like they had this secret weapon that they were just waiting to unleash.
It's almost like they knew something we didn't. Right?
Yeah, like they'd been keeping this under wraps. And it raises questions about their overall strategy, Who's usually responsible for taking free kicks? Was there a reason Rice wasn't taking them before? Or maybe he just wasn't feeling it until this particular moment.
And the fact that it took him 339 club games to finally score a direct free kick, and then to do it twice on this kind of stage. Yeah. There's definitely a story there.
There's definitely a lot to unpack. And speaking of stories, the article also includes some insights from Mikel Arteta, which I thought were really interesting. He actually mentions that the team had been talking about their lack of goals from direct free kicks.
Oh, really? So it was something they were aware of?
Yeah, he specifically points out that their last direct free kick goal was all the way back in September 2021, scored by Martin Ødegaard against Burnley. That's a pretty significant gap, almost 4 years.
Wow. And for Arteta to remember the exact date of their last free kick goal, That tells you it was definitely on his mind.
Absolutely. And he even comments on how unlikely it was for Rice, who had never scored a free kick in his career, to suddenly score 2 of such high quality in a span of just 12 minutes. You can almost hear the disbelief in his voice.
It's like he's saying, I can't even believe this is happening.
Right, exactly. It's fascinating. You know, it makes you think that maybe Arsenal had been working on their set-piece routines, trying to improve in that area.
Yeah, maybe they were encouraging different players to step up and take on those free kicks.
And then you've got Rice's individual brilliance on top of that. The perfect combination of preparation and a moment of pure magic.
It really feels like a turning point, doesn't it? Not just for Rice personally, but for Arsenal as a team.
Oh, I think so. To score 3 goals against Real Madrid, 2 of them from direct free kicks, something they've clearly struggled with for a while, that has to give them a huge confidence boost.
Yeah, I mean, they're going into the second leg at the Bernabeu with a 3-goal advantage. That's huge.
It puts them in a really commanding position. Of course, you can never count Real Madrid out. They're the kings of comebacks.
Especially at the Bernabeu. That place can be a fortress.
Right. But still, Arsenal's given themselves a real fighting chance. And I love what Arteta said at the end of the article. He acknowledges that they've taken one step in the right direction, but he's quick to point out that they need to elevate the level again if they want to win in Madrid. It shows he's not getting carried away. He's keeping everyone focused.
Classic Arteta, right?
Yeah.
Always demanding more from his players.
Exactly. He knows how tough it's going to be in Madrid. Real Madrid has the quality and the experience to turn things around. Arsenal will have to play even better than they did in the first leg if they want to advance to the next round.
So if we were to sum it all up, what are the biggest takeaways for you? What does this result, and Rice's performance in particular, tell us about Arsenal's chances in the Champions League? And what about the bigger picture, the tournament as a whole?
Well, for Arsenal, it's simple. They're now in a great spot to make it to the semifinals, and that would be a massive achievement for the club. For Declan Rice, this is a career-defining moment, no doubt about it. Scoring his first 2 free kicks in such a crucial match against such a legendary opponent. And for the Champions League itself, it's a reminder that this competition is full of surprises. And that individual brilliance can change the course of a tie in an instant.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So to recap, Declan Rice, after 339 club games without a direct free kick goal, scores not 1 but 2 in a Champions League quarterfinal against Real Madrid, leading Arsenal to a stunning 3-0 victory. The rarity, the impact, it's all there. We heard Rice himself call the night speechless, magic, and historical. And Arteta talked about how long Arsenal had gone without a direct free kick goal, how unlikely it was for Rice to suddenly score 2 of that quality.
And all of this puts Arsenal in a strong position going into the second leg at the Bernabeu. Although, as Arteta pointed out, they can't afford to let up. They need to raise their game even higher if they want to secure the win in Madrid.
And hopefully, by taking this deep dive with us, you've gained a better understanding of just how significant this moment is in the Champions League. It's a moment that could define the entire tournament.
You know, what really strikes me about all of this is how someone can be a top-level player for so long without showing a particular skill, and then suddenly, on the biggest stage, they pull it out of nowhere. It makes you think about all the untapped potential that exists in players and teams, and how sometimes it takes a moment of intense pressure to unlock it.
So true. And on that note, thinking about Arsenal's long wait for a direct free kick and Rice's emergence as this clutch free kick specialist in such a high-pressure match, what other seemingly impossible things might happen as the Champions League continues? What does this tell us about how unpredictable these competitions can be? How the narrative can change in a heartbeat? It's a question worth pondering as we watch the rest of the tournament unfold.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there. We've got a lot to look forward to.
Absolutely. And we'll be right here breaking it all down with you.
Looking forward to it.
Until next time.
See you, and
cheers.